We're here with Nick Allen, and he's a amazing musician, entrepreneur, contractor. He is an amazing and person and father, and we've learned a lot from him. So, Nick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Rob.
So, first off, where did you grow up?
Grew up in Burlingame, California, as you know. Yeah, and I still live in Burlingame.
Okay.
To this day.
And when did you first get introduced to music?
I think I was growing up, when I was even a little kid, my parents were very much into music, and so my brother and I, we were always listening to their music, and then listening to my dad's stories of him playing drums when he was little. I was always interested in trying to play, eventually trying to learn drums. I took piano lessons first. I don't know how old I was, maybe, 7 to 10 or something like that. And then when I was in elementary school, played clarinet. And then that went into middle school, and I think that's when I got my first drum set for Christmas, a Black Pearl drum set. And then we always listened to you playing drums next door to us, so kind of seemed like the next step to try taking drum lessons. But yeah, I think I was about 12, maybe. It's a long time ago.
12, 13, 14
Because
maybe?
it was before high school. I know that.
Yeah. Were you involved in the music program? And then what were your influences in high school? And were you involved in like symphonic band, concert band, jazz band, marching band? Or
I wasn't, and I wish I was. We didn't have that at my high school. But I was a part of with the clarinet, I was a part of our symphonic band, and that was in elementary school, and then into maybe 6th grade or something, maybe when I stopped. But musical influences would be a lot of my parents' music, for sure, stuff in the 70s and 60s, and anywhere from, Beatles to, my dad really liked funk music, so we listened to a lot of Tower Power, and my mom liked more of the rock side, so we got, I grew up listening to Led Zeppelin and things like that, and those two drummers alone were pretty influential for me growing up, for sure. And then from there, my tastes are so, I love anything from jazz to heavy metal rock to some hip hop to anything. I really like anything now. So
when you were growing up, you took music lessons, and you took private lessons.
Yes.
You said you played piano first, then clarinet. Did you take lessons for clarinet?
I did not. That was more in school, and then took private lessons with a piano teacher. That she was also a neighbor, like you were a neighbor of ours. We lived in down on the flats of Burlingame, and she was right around the corner from us. She was a pretty well-known piano teacher, and started with piano, and it was tough, I was afraid. The tough part is trying to perform in front of, doing the recitals, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like. Maybe that's why drumming, and I got more into that. I didn't like to be the main, focus. Just me playing piano and everybody looking at me. I was nervous, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So, and she was a tough teacher, so it burnt me out, I guess.
How old were you when you took piano lessons?
I think maybe 7 to 10.
Uh-huh.
I'd be my guess. 7 to 11, something like that. Maybe it was a year before I got my first drum set. So yeah, it's hard. I don't know the exact dates.
Okay, and then you started taking, and then you're playing drums. You started drums when you're, let's say, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And your dad bought you a black Pearl Export.
Yep.
And then so you started taking lessons right away, or did you just try to practice by yourself for a while? When did you decide to start taking lessons?
It was right away. It was pretty right away because we heard you playing drums next door every day. So we knew that you gave lessons. So it was a pretty kind of just transitioned right into it, I think. I don't remember myself trying to play drums on my own. I kind of always just, I could be wrong, but it was a long time ago. I just remember taking lessons from you, and then that's how I started.
Okay. And your lessons you did once a week for 1 hour.
Yep.
And what was your practice routine like? Now, I remember this. At 10 in the morning, you'd practice. And I could hear, because you were in the room. Were you in there was a room in front that I think you practiced in at first, right? You guys.
Yeah,
but there was a room in front where I could hear you.
It was my parents' old bedroom. And I think we had it set up in there.
That faced the house.
Yes.
It was like south facing. So you were practicing every morning about 10 o'clock for 2 hours a day, would you say? I mean, you were practicing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, yeah. I mean, it is a long time ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember it.
Yeah.
And you were working on this stuff. You had grooves and things were coming fast to you. You were like progressing really fast. Weekly lessons, an hour a week. You're practicing every day. You had your practice routine. You played beats. You played the songs. Am I correct?
Yep.
And I remember there was a band called Trapped that you liked a lot. That was one of your favorite bands.
I had other, really good friends I grew up with, and they all were into music as well. And we got together, we played, and just messed around. Then we kind of got, as we were all getting better, kind of formed a band and wrote our own music. And my dad built this room, or he kind of put soundproof insulation and drywall up in our attic so that we could practice as a band and not kill our neighborhood. So yeah, that's when I kind of gotten really serious, because not only I was taking lessons from you, that was pretty much right before high school. We all started playing, and then into high school, all the way through high school, and then so playing with them, practicing with them, and then while also taking lessons from you, and then practicing on my own. So it was everyday thing for sure.
And I remember your band did really well, and you guys played. There were some venues or something you played, and their buzz was getting out, and you guys did really well. Maybe you won something.
Yep.
What was the band's name again?
Aphasia.
Yeah. So you guys, there was something you guys did, and you won an award or something happened, and I remember being at your house.
We placed second in the Battle of the Bands, and it was at the Great American Music Hall. It was really, really fun, really cool venue.
That is a historic venue.
And it was packed with people. I never played in front of that many people, and we got second out of 150 bands, and so we won. I think it was 40 hours of recording time at this not so professional recording studio in downtown bad part of Oakland, but it was fun. I mean, that's when we recorded. Maybe it was our first, I don't know, 5 to 7 songs. on a CD, and then rest.
So then,
Kept
yeah,
playing. We kept getting more serious, and then I mean, we were gigging all over the place.
yeah. Talk about
By the
that.
time,
Your gigs.
junior, senior year in high school, we were playing almost every weekend. I was packing my drums up and we were going to play somewhere, and sometimes two places, and then we got I don't know who in the band met this management person that managed other bands, and so we met with him. Long story short, we got offered to go on tour, and there was the tour was going to go all over and it was with this band Trapped that you were speaking of earlier, which I was never really into them. It just sounded cool to go play in front of a lot. They were on the radio, so we were going to be playing in some really big venues all over the country. And then, this was right around the time, I just got into college. I just selected my college, and then I went to my parents and, what if I went on tour or played with the band, compared to college? And they said, absolutely not. And, which was okay because they were paying for my high school, so I had to respect that. But I missed out on that. That's a slight regret, but not really. It's my life, and
Yeah, but
they had fun doing it, and they ended up hiring another drummer, and then they kept playing, but then it kind of fizzled out.
Right.
Yeah.
So what my point is that you guys were successful. You guys did, you had great gigs. You played everywhere. You were progressing. You're an amazing drummer. I remember it. I remember you just you just got better and better and better fast. And the band, the band's success was due to you because you were propelling the band, and you had, not only did you have all the talent, but you had, you were your dad and everybody. You had places to practice, and you had business sense. You're booking the gigs. Maybe Drew was, but you guys were doing. You were getting some sense of business and some sense of being organized and rehearsing and having a goal. So in that sense, I think it was very successful. What happens from there is it could, like you said, fizzles out, and then everything you work for could go down, or you can kind of stop at the height of the success and say, I did it, which is cool to me, so, not all of us have that, and a lot of people never get to play with anybody. I have a lot of students that never play with anybody ever. They're practicing maybe, but they're taking lessons. So I think that part of it is like applying your lessons, playing gigs. Everything that I've taught you is being used, is being utilized, and your success story, right? So I look at it that way.
Well, I mean, I'm 36 now. I started taking drums from you when I was 12, and I still play all the time. So you tell me I think it was a success.
Yeah.
It's something, it's a passion and a hobby. I'll never stop. So there is I can never see, unless I get paralyzed. I don't see myself ever stopping playing. And then my wife and I have a newborn, and I'm very excited to even think about the possibility of showing her, teaching her too. Like, that could be fun for sure.
Which might happen or might not. She might hate it. She's like, I don't want to do that, or it might be that she loves it. So you don't.
At least music. At least push her, to try some things.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the benefit of having, a family. The whole thing, like with my family, my mother was she played piano, but my father didn't really like the music business very much. He always wanted something to back up on, have a backup. But I was too stubborn. I would never do that. I always kind of stuck with like what I wanted to do. So I never had that business backup, but I
Yeah.
became a businessman in a way,
Yeah.
running, being an entrepreneur and having to do what I had to do. So I totally appreciate, he taught me a lot about honesty,
Yeah.
and your word is your bond, and, getting back to people. And he taught me a lot about that. It's like, oh, we don't need to sign a contract because we had a verbal agreement. Like, that was his thing, so it
Yeah.
taught me a lot about that integrity.
Yeah.
So it's a
Totally.
business thing. It's a business thing, because people want to work with you that way.
Yep.
So going on to college. So tell me about. So you went to Colorado, right?
Yep.
And it was called
Yes.
University of Boulder, Colorado.
University of Colorado at Boulder.
At
Yeah.
Boulder.
Yeah.
I have another student that went there as well. So talk about that a little bit.
Regarding drums.
No, just regarding going to college.
Oh,
So you went. You
awesome school.
awesome school. You went. You
I
went.
wanted to get away from California and have a different. I always loved going into the mountains and enjoying, snowboarding and things like that. I wanted to live in snow
Okay.
for a little bit, and then I always knew that I'd probably be coming back. So that's what I did.
And what did you take there? What were your courses? What was your major?
Business administration.
Okay.
So I took a lot of different classes, but accounting, all different types of business classes. I really like taking Spanish classes too. I continued that from high school to college because I knew that I was probably going to eventually work in our family business. We employ a lot of Latin employees, and so speaking Spanish and being able to speak a different language always interests me. And they were some of my most favorite classes in college for sure. They were tough. There wasn't one word of English spoken in those classes, but they were fun.
So you're bilingual right now.
I wouldn't say I'm not fluent at all, but I can understand a lot, and I speak to every one of my employees in Spanish every day. I use it every day, so that's why you don't lose it if you just keep using it, and you learn more the more you do it. So
Wow, that's amazing. I could never do that. That's the language thing is always.
you could, Rob. You could. I know you could.
My wife is from Fiji, and they speak Hindi, and but it goes fast, So they speak Fiji Hindi quickly, so I know a couple words, but I don't know. It goes so I can't keep up,
Yeah.
a couple of things, and it's a hard language, and there's certain pronunciations of things that I cannot even pronounce. It's certain things with the mouth and throat that it cannot.
Yeah, it's not like a Latin
Right.
base language. It's
Right.
much different.
It's deeper, I mean, not deeper, but it's different. I'll just put it that way. I know a lot, like you said, a lot of things based off of Latin with European influences, but this is like from another part of the world, And it's supposed to be like the oldest languages.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, long story short, it's hard for me to pick up on different things like that. I guess I was fascinated by it, Italian and different things, and French and whatnot. But I think that's pretty amazing that you did that.
Yeah. I'm glad I did because I think our employees, they respect me a little bit more that I try to, understand and speak the language they speak, not just that they're here in the United States working, like I want to be able to speak their language too, so I can communicate with them better, or else there's a block, there's a wall, and if they're not understanding me,
Right.
it's kind of hard to get the message or what you expect out of them.
Right. So can we talk about, so you went to Colorado, and then you came back, and then you changed your major and you started a different college for architecture. Am I right?
Well, I came back, and then I did some construction management school. Yeah. it was right in the heart of like the recession.
Okay.
So
Talk about that a little bit.
yeah, instead of going to I wanted to go straight into work, for our company, but we were very slow. I mean, as everybody was at that time. Maybe not you, Rob, but the construction industry was very, very slow. The whole economy was slow. So took the opportunity with my brother to go to this construction management school, and I think it was in Hayward, and it was good. We learned all different. We got certified on a construction software so that you can do anything from estimating to it was more of an estimating course actually. So we learned how to read plans, a set of plans from any different framing, electrical, plumbing. We can kind of understand it all, kind of the basics on that, and then apply estimating to this estimating software. So you kind of learn the whole process of how to look at plans, study them, and then put the numbers into a software program that would help you produce an estimate or a bid for a client. So yeah, it was good. Learned a lot really quickly, and it was every day. It was 8 hours a day. So it was pretty rigorous.
My dad, who was in the construction business, had his own company. He'd always say that the estimates were very stressful because if you didn't come out right, if you came out too low, you'd lose money for the company. If you came out too high, somebody else would get the bid. So he'd say that was very stressful for him. He would lose sleep over that, trying to get that bid just correct. So I can appreciate you doing that, and that's what you're doing. You're able to do that now from this course that you took in school, that you're able to correctly produce estimates for the job, for the company.
Yeah, we have a drywall business, so we do drywall and metal stud framing for commercial projects, and so going to that school, you're able to understand other trades on the set of plans, so it actually helps you understand really the whole project better by understanding framing, electrical, how just all the components. And then drywall, at that point, learning how to estimate drywall only is pretty easy when you can understand all of it. So
not only did you do the business part, but you actually worked in the field. You've actually hung drywall yourself.
Yep.
You've done the work. I mean, it's not just that you got a desk job. You've experienced. Yeah. You hung, you taped, you plastered. I mean, you've done everything.
Yeah, and it was important because to learn how to correctly estimate it, you kind of needed to know what the job entailed, and by looking at a project, how many hours it's going to take, a crew, or the different components. So yeah, it was fun to come out of college and then kind of go into putting tools on and getting trained by guys that have been doing it for 20 years, and then I got good, not bragging, but I'm as long as you apply yourself, I've been good at pretty much anything I try, but I got good really quickly. And then all of a sudden I'm running my own jobs and then teaching other younger apprentices. And then I eventually transitioned into moving into the office in the more managerial role and estimating pretty much after that.
So who would you say out of, like you're saying about your apprentices and kind of the master apprentice, who is your mentor or your master growing up that taught you about, let's say like the business? Would you say it was your dad?
My dad was the biggest one on the business side, but on the trade side and learning the skills of the trade, it would be one of our employees named John Brown. He actually still works for us. He's been with us for well over 30 years, I believe. And he's pretty much our quality control foreman. So he will put his tools on, still work these days. He's a master at what he does, but he also will go around and manage our job sites, because you just don't have a big enough office staff to be able to. If you have 100 jobs going on at one time, you can't have us going to manage all of them. So he kind of does a lot of that for us. So yeah, I was taught by him. My dad taught him. So there's the transition. My
That's the master.
My dad is the master. He taught John. John eventually taught me.
Okay.
Yeah. And now I'm basically John's boss, which is kind of strange, but it's a respect thing. He knows it, but he's really good.
So what I'm told is that you're now you're taking over you and John, your brother, are taking over the company, and your dad is kind of retiring, right? Am I correct there?
He's got 3 toes out the door, I would say, but he's starting to slowly.
Okay.
Yeah, he's starting to pull back, but yeah.
So, back to the lessons. So when you were taking lessons with me, how did you benefit from my lesson curriculum, and what specific areas helped you the most?
I think, just having a plan every time on what you needed to work on was pretty important. It never was the same thing every week. And I think the most important thing was probably, I was very frustrated at first taking lessons with you, because I'm like thinking in my head, we're going to go right on the drum set. And we did not go right on the drum set. We were practicing technique and all the different nuances on how to hold the stick correctly, and finding the fulcrum and all the balance points, and then doing rudiments and practicing basically rudiments on a pad. And for a young kid, that was frustrating, because all I wanted to do is make noise and play drums. But I would say that's probably the most important thing, is that initial training on the fundamentals, and then from there you can kind of take off. So hopefully that's the right answer.
Well, that's your answer. There's no right or wrong. It's what your experience. So last question, and this is going to be kind of broad, but let's just do it like this. What advice could you give to, and we'll say young musicians, or let's say people that are trying to get into business, starting out? What advice can you give them? Now that you're kind of a boss, and I don't know if you deal with younger people that are in their 20s, or let's say they're late teens. What advice can you give to them? They're starting to get into business. They're starting, maybe they want to do music, maybe they want to do construction, or maybe they're looking to do something and work with people. Get in a trade. This website I'm doing is not only about music, but it's also about the trade of different kinds of businesses. What advice would you give them?
Have a plan, and be organized. I would say the more organized you are, and then having a plan, I think will help you succeed. And don't be afraid to try new things too. And because there isn't one right way to do things, whether it's drumming or anything in business. And then listen to people. Take the time to listen to them. You'll learn a lot just by listening to everybody. I didn't, like I was telling you earlier, Rob, I didn't feel like I didn't mature enough to be able to do that until I was about 30. I know it's embarrassing for myself, but it's true. I think men don't really mature like women do. So, I got better at that. Especially in business, listening to guys, not letting things frustrate me, and then drumming the same way, kind of, being calmer, having a plan, and then just kind of, the more mature you are, I guess, I don't know if these are all broad things, but You know, I would say listening to people, especially business, you could apply it to music. You can apply it to your relationships, but it's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, it's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that that I find is sometimes people get a little bit too the ego gets in the way, and they're not, like you said, not listening. They think they know it all.
Yeah.
So it's not an immediate thing. And I think that the like you said, like your the person that taught you has been in the business, that longevity. It's kind of what I've done. I've just stuck with things, and the ups and the downs, and the highs and the lows. But the thing of the working with people and the maturity of being able to take advice and not letting your ego get in the way, which
Totally.
I see some people do, and I think it closes them off. Another thing in the music business is that when people have a lot of ego, that they think they know it all, even though they're great musicians, people don't really want to work with them, and it's a really age-old concept where you go, well, I'll go with the guy that's not as good, but I like him more. I like working with him.
Yeah.
More. I'm going to hire him.
Yeah.
Hire her.
Well, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thanks so much for doing this and taking time out. Congratulations on your newborn and your new wife, and your new life. And it's really awesome to see you again.
Yeah.
After all this time, and I you don't know how much joy it gives me to reach out to you guys over, like, it's been like what, 10, 15 years or something.
Yeah, it's been way too long.
Right.
So
I really, you don't know how much I enjoy it. You have no idea.
good. Well, I enjoyed it too, Rob. I appreciate you reaching out to me. It was fun.
Cool.
I was looking forward to it. So
cool. So let's keep in touch, and
Yep.
I'll take you up on that offer and come up to see you.
yeah, that would be great. All right,
All right,
Rob.
Nick.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thank you. Bye.